Doing an intro.
Okay. Let's
Yep.
concentrate.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to game number 5 of our Newcomers free-for-all tournament. I am Jalbertman. I am here with Yaran, and
Hello.
we'll be looking. He says hello. We are going to be looking at Scooby-Doo 2, Never Zero, Cake is what we decided on, and Duef. So I've had some of these people in before. In fact, I think we've seen all of them at this point, and very interesting to see how it goes.
So, do you like glass?
Yeah, this looks like a glass colony, and
And glass is double the price. And
right? And that means if you can make glass, you can just make money. Cake. Aluminum's not bad. I mean, there's that, and he is at least recognizing that he is going to have to chip that iron, so kind of playing it like an expansive, just a little bit. Would have preferred to have seen him put the steel mills down on some aluminum.
you know, he's not going to have to worry about glass as much as Dow is going to. That's a big deal for them. They are expensive, they can ship it a bit easier, but it's so far away anyway, so I'm not very happy with that pound. You know what
Never
else?
Zero. Oh, sorry?
You know what else is a problem? Water.
Yeah, it is. There are core samples, though.
Okay,
so
that's fair.
This is not a long-term problem if you use core samples, but there's nukes. Oh.
I think I played this map as well, and I think I actually may have won it. And I remember where I found it, I don't remember what the hell I found it.
This is the kind of map where experienced players and newer players are just going to approach it completely differently. And I think we're going to get to see here, like, more experienced players would probably be thinking, drop the nukes, then might be looking at the core samples and be trying to find places where they don't think it's likely that you could core out resources successfully, such as, you know, if you've got an opponent with some water next to some aluminum, decent chance they grab some aluminum if they try to core sample there. You could make it very frustrating, but I don't know if that's going to be a big deal.
I remembered what happened. I did not win this game, yeah. So the following happened is that
all
two
coming back to him.
Went for food immediately, which is something you don't see new players go for very much, because it's not a very obvious opening, because you're not securing any of your upgrade resources, but you're making use of the double food price with a really low water price. And that is very good for you, and no one is doing that, and that is probably not terrible, but you really want to be in food now.
Which none of our players currently are.
Yeah, unfortunately Never Zero is going... Well, actually, they're moving into food, but they have that one electronics factory, which I am unhappy about. It's making $5 per second. Like,
yeah.
There's a reason why these net revenue values are being shown, and if you look at like, sure, you need electronics for the upgrade, but if you look at the amount of money that the tile is actually making for you, it's basically nothing.
And so let's do a little math lesson here. You need 40 electronics, as I'm imagining what Never Zero needs. Let me see if that bears out. Yeah. So you need 40. So 40 electronics, and you're making 0.25 electronics a second.
It's going to take a while.
So something like 2-3 minutes from now, you've potentially made it to your next upgrade. Maybe. But in that 2 or 3 minutes, again, it comes back to efficiency of claims. Other people, not that we are seeing very much of that, could be getting into not black magic tiles and actually just beating you. Maybe not in the industry of electronics, but just beating you to money. And then when you get your upgrade, they might be 2-3 upgrades ahead of you. Who knows? Not going to happen here. Never Zero first up to 3. Nobody seems to be taking advantage of adjacency. And that's going to make this one interesting.
That is going to make prices very, 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 very high. Now, Never Zero actually pushed to the upgrade now, and they are fixing their territory. They're doing it. They're putting 2 farms, 2 reactors.
Yeah,
it's fine.
They are. It's just he went for the trouble of having the electronics, right? He clearly wanted electronics, so maybe so he's returned the claim. Okay, lateral move.
Okay. It's a good
Just
move.
if you wanted the electronics that badly, you should probably have gone into a triangle once you had the claims. I'm not saying that would have been a really profitable way for him to go here, though he definitely has the aluminum, and that would be the most difficult portion, which is an interesting thing you don't often say about electronics, but
It's true.
it's not wrong to split his food and his electrolysis. Might prefer to see him just in food or electrolysis, whichever is easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
power is also very high. Electrolysis reactors aren't very good
Electrolysis,
right
I
now.
always do that. Electrolysis.
It's a fun way of saying it as
Yep.
well. But yeah, they're making about $50. They're fine, but you could be making 150 on food, or you could be making tons and tons of bucks on power right now, or at least paying your debts, which is
Yeah.
killing everyone except Never Zero because he is nomad and he doesn't have the same prices for power that other players do.
This was probably for Cake an overinvestment in. So with that Mars quake, not necessarily the worst time in the world to have. He doesn't. What? Okay, so he has a claim. I guess that was his aluminum mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I just. All right. So you want to have your claims next to your HQ.
Yep, and he can
So
connect it. It's not doing much. Like this, I think the transition is fine. It's just mistimed. You don't want to make this transition yet.
yeah, not when you're losing $14 on that steel mill, and you could instead be making 80 on aluminum.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Scuba Doo finally got to HQ level 3. Unfortunately, also running these lone production tiles, you really like buildings like to have friends. Zoltar puts it. Like this electrolysis reactor would be making money if it had a friend. Unfortunately, it's
Yes.
lonely here, and so it's sad, and it refuses to make money as a result. But,
Might like to see some of the players who are behind, especially Cake, who really has no other option. Would definitely prefer to see them going for bribe a claim.
yeah,
Because
the black market has been fairly quiet, and bribe claim is a really good way to catch up while it's still early in the game.
It is Cake's only option. I mean,
yeah, that is also true. When you're in D debt, you can only buy bribe a claim essentially.
bribe a claim, cook the books. Soren says on a future patch he's potentially going to make return a claim happen, even if you're on D debt, because it should. Yeah, I'm a little amazed that wasn't like a first thing decision when he decided he was going to put return a claim into the game. Was that since return a claim is supposed to be for players who maybe aren't as Johnny on the spot with their claims, it gets used differently, but that's kind of why it got put in, I imagine.
I think the reason it was put in was because of the expansion, because of Nomads, because they essentially created a black market item and then decided to put it available for everyone.
Yes, and I recall Soren when he was streaming for the Nomad update. He explained that he kind of made Nomad so that if there was nowhere else to found, you could go Nomad and be okay. So I always just kind of took that as the reason we put them here is so that the game is not so much based around being a perfect strategician, which is good, quite honestly. So I guess what I'm saying is it seemed to me like that would be the first thing you would think of, would be just return a claim should be available no matter what, so that you can always try to fix what you've made mistakes of. But we're just now getting around to maybe thinking that's a good idea. Cake going to $1.
Yep, on his way down, and Never Zero is building an off-world, which I guess it's actually fairly cheap. He can still do the shift buy on Cake.
Going for an off-world, going for a farm, might like to have seen him save up for a second advanced building of some kind. Maybe a solar panel,
Well,
something.
they should be saving up money to press the red button any second now.
Well, yes, there is that too. There is always winning the game.
But apparently they're not necessarily going to get there, maybe? I mean,
Getting a hold of
it's
Cake for
like,
40,000 is a steal.
yeah, he's super cheap. It's not that important to actually get stock in him. I mean, it's nice, but it's not that important. The important part
The
is
claims.
to press that shift button and get the 5 defended stocks, so that you can get the +2 extra claims.
Plus, I don't think the algorithm really looks at the fact that you bought a $1 person. It gives you the same stock bonus.
Yeah.
I think you just mentioned that, but the point remains. Yeah.
And well, who's gonna pull the plug?
None of our players. It looks like Dua.
$16,000. You just sell some things and yeah, this is a thing. Maybe some players don't know is that you don't have to buy always buy stock by stock. You can actually just press shift and then press buy if you have the money. It costs more.
You would be amazed how many off-world hotkeys involve shift. If you're playing off-world and you don't know what to do, you don't just hit shift and start pressing buttons, and you will be surprised.
Shift is a great button.
You know, it works. It is a really good go-to. If all else fails, I should have hit shift and done it instead. You can shift delete your buildings, I think, and that'll delete all of the ones of the same type attached to each other. That's really useful for high-level play.
Yep.
I don't do it.
Neither do I.
Yeah, but it's there.
So yeah, it looks like Never Zero is actually going to run away with this. They already have an off-world, they're making a lot of money. Scooby-Doo unfortunately taking way too much time just building these building by building without adjacency. Not really making enough water, which is another thing that I mentioned is going to be a thing on this map. Dow are a little bit behind, unfortunately, also with some of their lone buildings, but also just in general, they're sitting on a lot of cash. Like, they could upgrade easily if they sell out of food. And that is the thing you have to recognize is that... Yeah, I guess the auto-sell feature is just not very... Like, I don't know if new players necessarily even know about it.
So auto-sell is control-shift. So...
Yeah, control-shift and press on the minus to
yeah, so regular shift... I think there should be auto-buy. I'm gonna keep it real. I think there should be. And the reason I think that there should be is because I have a theory about the perfect off-world strategy. And it involves spending your like excess dollars on just 1 unit of silicon, 1 unit of carbon, until eventually you've got stockpiles that no one ever saw. Perfect stealth play. Will you win? I don't know. Never done it, but whenever I think about how I intend to improve personally as a player, for those who are looking for those hot pro strats, I think about how to better disguise my activities on the market from good players. Because good players see what you're doing, they see the prices being affected, but if you're just putting the resources in your HQ and hiding them for about 5-10 minutes until they're gone from the little line graph that you can see representing price and demand, then you can make some money on shorts. I don't know. Maybe you could do other things. Secret off-world nobody knows about. Who knows? But auto-buy would be the way to make that convenient.
Yeah, auto-buy is a feature that has been considered, but Soren doesn't like it. And frankly, I'm not sure I'm a fan of it.
Yeah,
it's difficult. It would be a very difficult feature to play around with well.
It would be easy to screw yourself over. You know, like our real stock market in real life. Where we do tons of auto buying and auto selling.
Well, in the meantime, Dow got to HQ level 5. Now has some really good production. Has a lot of great tiles. Unfortunately, it's a little too late.
Yeah, yeah. Not not gonna get past these two off-worlds, you know. Could start putting off-worlds up right now and just not make it. Doesn't have access to the hacker array, which Never Zero also has one of those, by the way. So in the event that you want to start playing the hack game, so really, really hard to see a way back into this. You know, a player with a more precise, a more already envisioned strategy getting to this point might be able to turn a game like this, especially if Never Zero doesn't sell out of Scooby-Doo and start focusing on his new opponent. But I think Never Zero is just going to get away with this one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm a little bit sad for Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I like his scavenger spot. I really do.
Yeah,
I think
this spot is great, but you just have to make pairs or triangles of buildings. Otherwise, you're gonna get this far behind every time. Another thing for them is, I think that they don't use the auto supply feature, which is actually one thing that I don't necessarily like, that it isn't enabled by default.
yes, I 100% agree. I think that there should be a section in the tutorial where it makes you press the auto supply button, and then it makes you go into options and turn on auto supply. It's an objective. Press the button to make auto supply be turned on for you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I just don't think that it's... I don't think the benefit of not having that is anywhere near actually being particularly beneficial.
So Scooby-Doo has a patent lab, does not appear to have gone into any, and I really, it's not a huge deal market-wise because it's really cheap to get a hold of water, but I really don't like Scooby-Doo getting bullied out of what should by all rights be his water patch, or at least he should have more than the one measly medium with no adjacency.
Yeah, that's also another thing for new players, is that new players tend to play rather slowly, especially if they come straight from single player, where you can pause the game and just do everything at your own pace. It's very challenging to adapt to the speed of a multiplayer game, even though Offworld is not a
Sedate.
yeah, it's more. It's
Sometimes in Offworld,
pace,
it's like that crazy Wall Street stock exchange, and other times in Offworld, it's like you plant a garden, and you're kind of waiting for your flowers to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't require a lot of action from you, but there are still things that you need to do quickly, and this is kind of the thing we're seeing. This, if you build a patent lab, you want to queue up those patents ahead of time potentially, or just start them as soon as it goes. And you need to be in a certain rhythm, and that definitely comes with experience, and you can't just expect to get it immediately.
Al over here got into a patent lab and is actually using it.
Yeah, it's also a challenge to remember to use an advanced building.
Yes. I'm a little better. I'm a little better than most, but hacker arrays are my weakness, where when I put the hacker array up, I know I'm going to start ignoring it. And then something like 2 days later, I look at it and realize I did ignore it.
For me, it's usually if I'm not in practice, I'm always very tardy with the advanced buildings.
I've been really suffering from that lately. Really. I'm just going with a whole new ranked strategy, where in ranked you just don't put down a patent lab, and you just wait till, like, you know, last 3 days put an optimization center down. Not a good strategy, but it's a new one.
It's one of those things where if you ask me, is that a good strategy? Well, I have an ultimate answer for you. It depends.
Yeah. That's the, you know, that's my favorite thing about Offworld, is that you actually can't give someone advice. Not universally.
Yeah, not universal advice for sure.
There will always be a time where the economy shifts it snake-like into a way that if you try to do the same thing every time, you lose. But you know, there's standard openings, but there is no standard game.
That's a very good way to put it, I think. So we're basically waiting for Never Zero to clean it up.
Yep.
He got some power money, he got a lot of life support money, he just surged ahead, and
He knew what he wanted as a nomad. He wanted the ability to make glass. I don't know if that's where he made his money early on, but he definitely because
not early on. I think life support was a lot more significant for that.
there's that too, you know.
And with that, they're going to take another win.